Hello Minties, this is the Uncanny Omar, and today I'm going to do an overview of the Lucky Luke Volumes 1 and 2 hardcover from Cinebooks, so please stay tuned. So let's quickly look at Volume 1 and then Volume 2. Before I get this started, I do want to thank Jerome and the kind folks at Cinebook for sending us both volumes. So, for the first time ever in America, this has been collected in hardcover edition. So before I look at it any further, I do want to do a little size comparison so you kind of get the idea of what you're getting. So here we have Volume 1 compared to the size of a standard size hardcover, and then compared to the size of the deluxe edition. And remember, deluxes are as tall as omnibuses, so this is a little bit taller and longer. So one of the things you've probably noticed is that it does not have a dust jacket. It is the actual artwork on the board itself. Matter of fact, here is what the spines look like. I kind of like the interchanging colors here. You have the numbers up at the top, the complete collection, Lucky Luke, Morris, and then the publisher down here, Cinebook. I don't have a Volume 3 yet. I think it's yellow, but I guess we'll wait to see. Now let's quickly look at each one of these volumes. Okay, so here is Volume 1. You have the character up here, even though he does look different when you get started. The type of paper quality is very similar to, I was going to say, some of the thick matte paper that you find in the Fantagraphics book by Carl Barks or the Don Rosa Duck comics, but here's something amazing that I really enjoyed about this, because I know very little about Lucky Luke other than the fact that he was created by a gentleman named Morris, even though that's not his real name, and he's been around forever. Wait, there is one other thing I did know. I know that eventually the guy that did Asterix, Rene Goscinny, I think he went on to co-write some of this stuff later on, but not during the earlier. So this is done in a chronological order. I think it's funny that when he first appears, he kind of looks like Woody, or maybe Woody looks like Lucky Luke. But what's really cool about these books, and I have not seen this in any other edition of collected stuff, not that I have a ton, but it's pretty cool because you get about 50 pages of an introduction to get to know the writer and the people that put it together, and who Lucky Luke was. Lucky, what the heck is wrong with me? So we begin with Arizona. As I previously said, Lucky Luke looks a lot different. Like I said, the character of Woody from Toy Story kind of looks like him right there. And as time goes on, we'll go through a little further, the art style starts changing and the character design starts changing. He looks a little more, I don't know, rugged, a little more human rather than less cartoony and more human. But then we backtrack to looking a little more cartoony again until he finds, I guess, that perfect mix. So it's really cool. So this Western series was originally created by Morris, like I said. He was a Belgian cartoonist, and he wrote and drew the series. Like I said, up until Rene took over, he started collaborating with him. And I know he passed away in the 70s, I want to say. And then Morris, I think he passed away in 2001, 2002. But this is all his early stuff. The very first volume has 216 pages, and it retails for $29.99. Let's look at the back here. So apparently these have already been collected in individual volumes. So the hardcover puts a lot of these together. I'm not entirely sure how many there are going to be, but this is just the beginning, and I hope they keep going because I love to have a complete library. Had a lot of fun reading these books, so I'll talk a little bit about that here. So I took a week off from the channel, and I took some time to read some stuff I wanted to, and one of the things that I read was Lucky Luke, both volumes. I didn't expect it to be the way that it was. Here, let's look at this. This is Volume 2. Again, you have this long introduction to the history of Lucky Luke and his creator. But what I was going to say is I didn't expect it to be what it was. I thought it was going to be a hokey version of something like Blueberry, right? Something like that. But actually, it was pretty cool. It kind of reminds me a lot, and I'm sure this is true, and I don't know why I didn't think about this, but it reminds me a lot of Carl Barks' Duck comics in the way that the character acts and he interacts with people, and also in the fact that they use historical figures in this book. And I'm not going to spoil any of them, but I think it's pretty interesting who you run upon in the Wild West. So I know it's dorky, I know it's hokey, or it may sound hokey, but that's just something I really enjoyed in any medium. Like when you get a cameo of a real life character and you're like, or a real life historical person, and you're like, oh, that's the reason why they invented the telephone, or whatever. You know, I think that's really awesome that they did that. So this is what he's looking like now. You know, he looks a little more manlier on the cover than he does on the inside. There's a couple of pages that look like that, but yeah, as you can tell now, this is the way that he looks for at least during this time right here. And I guess this is in the early 50s to mid 50s. And it's interesting to me that it's a Belgian creator writing about the West, and just how much the Wild West influenced so many comic books and mediums, all over the world. So it's pretty cool. Each of the chapters are broken up like this. You get the covers, and then in the very back, you get a little more about who Maurice was. And again, you get to find out his name is Maurice de Bever. Bever. Oh boy. Why do I keep trying? So here is a preview of Volume 3. This is what Volume 3 looks like, and I cannot wait. The years are divided. So this is, Volume 1 was 1946 to 1949, and this is 50 and 51. Volume 3 will contain his very first collaboration, I guess, with Renee, because it contains years 1952 to 1956. Now, let's look at the binding of the book, because I've talked about the paper. So you get sewn binding, and they have just a little bit of glue down here to keep it close to the ribbon. The eye looks nice. So this is a really nice presentation, and I'm glad that they're publishing this book finally. This gives me hope that somebody one day will do Blueberry. But until then, Lucky Luke is where I'm going to head to travel back to the Wild West. It is a really fun book, so I'd love to know who else has been checking it out. And that was the contents of each book. Let me know in the comments down below if you've picked them up or if you're going to pick them up. Or some of my European viewers, have you already read all these and you completely recommend them? I've been really looking forward to this, so it's been a really cool experience so far. I'm glad I took some time off to read both of these volumes, and they're wonderful. And before I leave, I want to thank our patrons. And if you're enjoying the content of this channel and want to support it, please think about joining our Patreon program. That is in the description down below. You can also find our logos on Redbubble for stickers and t-shirts. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you for watching, and remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.